Hey everyone. Ready to dive into a topic that's been messing with people's heads for like ever.
I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
Time. We all think we know it, right? It's on our watches, it's how you plan our days. But what is it really?
Yeah, it's one of those things, isn't it? You think you've got a handle on it, and then you really start to think about it, and whoa, it gets kind of weird.
Totally. Like you ask me what time it is, I can tell you.
Yeah.
But ask me to define time and suddenly I'm back in high school physics feeling completely lost.
Yeah.
And speaking of, we asked you guys to send us some stuff about time and wow, you did not disappoint.
It's a treasure trove. Articles, physics notes, philosophical musings. It seems like everyone has their own take on time.
For real. One article even defines time as change, which, like,
Hmm?
I kind of get, but also, huh,
It's a good starting point. Think
yeah,
about it. Without change, would we even have a way to measure time?
hmm, I guess not.
Those seconds ticking by on your watch, those are just markers of a whole bunch of changes happening on a really, really small scale.
Okay, so, like, what kind of changes are we talking about here?
We're talking about atoms, the very building blocks of, well, everything.
Atoms. Whoa, we're going full-on science geek already.
Embrace the geekiness. It's pretty wild when you think about it. Every single atom is constantly vibrating, kind of like a teeny tiny pendulum swinging back and forth super fast.
So atoms have their own little internal clocks. That's wild.
In a way, yeah. And those vibrations happen at incredibly precise frequencies. By counting those vibrations, and we're talking billions per second, we get a super accurate way to measure time.
Whoa. Okay, so we've got atoms vibrating, creating this, like, cosmic symphony of time. That's incredible. But then how come time feels so different depending on, like, what I'm doing? Why does waiting for the microwave feel like an eternity? It's not like my atoms stop vibrating when I'm bored.
That is a fantastic question, and that's where our brains come in. You see, as incredible as they are, our brains are not perfect timekeepers. In fact, they're kind of messing with our perception of time constantly.
Messing with us? What, like on purpose? I knew it.
Not on purpose, but our brains are wired to prioritize certain things over others. So, emotions, what we're paying attention to, even our surroundings, all of that can influence how we experience time, even if those little atomic clocks keep ticking along steadily.
So time isn't just this fixed universal thing. It's also subjective,
Yeah.
which honestly makes a lot of sense. But I have a feeling things are about to get even weirder, right? Because we haven't even talked about Einstein yet.
Oh, Einstein. He's the one who really threw a wrench in everything. Get ready, because this is where our everyday understanding of time goes right out the window.
Okay, so no more messing about. Hit me with it. What did Einstein teach us about time that's so different?
Well, for starters, he completely changed how we understand time and space. Like they're not separate things, but all woven together.
Okay, I'm listening. But
Yeah.
how do you even begin to picture that?
Imagine the universe like a giant, like a sheet of rubber stretched out tight. Okay. Now you put something heavy on it, say a bowling ball.
Gotcha. It's going to make a dip in the rubber.
Exactly. Einstein said that planets and stars are kind of like those bowling balls. They actually warp the fabric of the universe.
Whoa, hold on. So planets and stars are like literally bending space.
They are. And that bending, that warping is what we experience as gravity. But here's the mind-blowing part. It's not just gravity that warps things. Speed does too. The faster you move, the more you stretch out that fabric of space and time.
Okay, whoa, hold up. So moving fast is like, what, taking that bowling ball and like rolling another one around it super fast?
That's a great way to think about it. And all that warping, it affects time.
Time. How so?
The faster you move, the slower time goes for you, at least compared to someone standing still. It's this thing called time dilation.
Time dilation.
Yeah.
So you're telling me, like, if I hopped in a rocket ship right now and blasted off at like super speed,
Mm-hmm.
time would actually slow down for me.
You got it. You'd age slower than your friends back here on Earth. Your clock would tick slower. Everything about time would be different.
Dude, that is absolutely wild. But why don't I notice that? Like when I fly on a plane, my watch seems to work just fine.
Well, the effect is super tiny at the speeds we're used to here on Earth. Like, we're talking fractions of a second. To really see time dilation in action, you'd need to be moving at a significant percentage of the speed of light.
Okay, that makes sense. So no need to adjust my watch after a weekend trip. Still, this is blowing my mind. So time isn't this fixed, universal thing that everyone experiences the same way after all.
Bingo. Time is relative. And this idea of time being relative, well, it gets even more interesting when we think about how different cultures perceive and experience time, even without the whole spaceship thing, you know?
Oh man, cultural perspectives on time. I love that. This is getting good. So tell me everything. What have we got? So we've been talking about how time isn't this like fixed thing, and Einstein really messed with our heads by showing us how speed can warp it. But you're saying that even without, hopping in a spaceship, different cultures have had totally different views of time for like forever. I'm into it. Tell me more.
It's amazing, right? Like, take the way we usually think about time in Western cultures.
Schedules and deadlines, yeah.
Exactly. It's linear, like a straight line going from past to present to future, always pushing forward. Gotta stick to the plan.
Oh, tell me about it. Sometimes it feels like I'm living my life by my calendar app.
Right. But think about other cultures, especially indigenous cultures. Time is often seen as cyclical.
Cyclical, okay.
Yeah, like the
Yeah.
natural world, the seasons, the cycles of the moon, life and death and rebirth. It all goes round and round.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But how does that like actually play out in everyday life?
Well, for one, there might be less emphasis on those rigid schedules and deadlines. It's more about like understanding the natural rhythms of life and working with them
Right.
instead of constantly trying to control everything.
Hmm. That's such a different way of looking at things. I could see how it could be a lot less stressful, too. We're always in such a rush. Speaking of rushing, this whole conversation has got me thinking about how differently we experience time personally, too. Like, why does time fly when you're having fun, but when you're bored, it just drags on and on?
See, you're bringing it back to the brain again. Remember how we talked about your brain tracking time through all those atomic changes happening?
Yeah.
Well, when you're having fun, your brain is super engaged, it's making tons of new memories, forming new connections, and all that activity makes it feel like time is speeding up.
So, like, the more exciting the experience, the more data my brain is processing, the faster time seems to go.
Exactly. But when you're bored, your brain isn't getting that same level of stimulation. Fewer memories, less to record. It's like time slows down because your brain's just not as busy.
Wow, that is so trippy. So I guess what I'm hearing is if I want to feel like I have more time, I should just cram my life full of crazy, exciting stuff, right?
Well, not necessarily. It's not just about the amount of stuff you do, but the quality of the experience, you know? Remember what we were saying about cyclical time? Being present in each moment, actually experiencing it fully, that's what makes time feel richer.
Quality over quantity,
Yeah.
even when it comes to time. I love that. Okay, one last thing before we wrap up. We've covered atoms, Einstein, cultures, our brains.
Hmm.
But gotta ask, and maybe this is pushing it a bit, is time travel, like, actually possible?
Ah, the million-dollar question. Honestly, even with all the incredible science we've talked about, time travel is still a big old mystery. We haven't quite cracked that code yet. But hey, the fact that time itself is relative, bendable, well, it definitely makes you wonder what's possible, right?
It really does. This whole deep dive has been mind-blowing. It seems like the more we learn about time, the more mysterious it gets.
That's the beauty of it. There's always more to explore.
Couldn't agree more. And for you listening, we hope this deep dive has given you a little something to think about next time you check your watch. Time isn't just on the clock. It's woven into every part of who we are, how we experience the world. So, until next time, keep exploring, keep asking those big questions, and thanks for joining us on this incredible journey through time.